Where do I begin? How the fuck do I start this video? Writing a script for this is gonna be a nightmare, but whatever. Alright, let me preface this whole video by saying that sources for the things I discuss will be provided where I can provide them down in the description below. Also, I don't condone any harassment or harmful action towards anybody. As much as the fires of 1,000 suns burns within my breast, we're gonna keep things at least somewhat civil here. I'm here to talk, so let's talk. Okay, now, what I want to talk about today is an incredibly difficult thing for me to truly put my thoughts on into words. I'm very strongly opinionated regarding it, and I feel that I've seen this happen a million times over within gaming as a medium, from the 7th console generation all the way up until the current day. Depending on when I sit down and push this video out, it's probably already 2026, and I've probably spent all of December in some form of depressive psychosis. Fuck winter. Winter enjoyers and jolly festive merrymakers, forgive me, I don't mesh with it at all. That being said, fuck it. It's 2026. Gaming has gone through a number of major shifts in regards to scale and business models, and in the last 5 years alone, we've seen the absolute best and worst the industry had to offer. So, what is it you came to yap about today, you're probably asking, tired of me yapping in circles around it, and simply put, well, it's video games as a whole, but mainly AI, specifically generative AI, considering people confuse the genuinely useful AI with it thanks to the slopfest of the last few years. We've seen games shift from whole packages on release to downloadable content to microtransaction machines, and even live service, and while those aren't necessarily all business models for games as products as a whole, I think it's really fucking interesting and kind of funny just how all of this ties back to the corporate side of things. I'll try not to get too preachy in regards to those points as a whole, because more than anything, I just want to outline my thoughts and feelings from my 2+ decades on this earth, the majority of which I have loved and enjoyed video games. Without going on some life origin story style rant, I've been playing games since I was 2 or 3 years old. I remember arcade machines, I remember Space Pinball, I had one of the Pokemon games on Game Boy Color, and that was my first real console, handheld, I know, before my N64 and my first game. I remember making friends on Xbox Live, playing my 360 after school, and some of my friends talking about the Horse Armor DLC for Oblivion. One of the things people would argue was the precursor to the microtransaction craze that would come later on. I saw things like Xbox Live becoming a subscription-based thing for online play, online passes. Remember those? No? You fucking should. Things like Battlefield's rent-a-servers and premium and the rise of purchasable cosmetics. Now, I could definitely ramble on about how much damage these things did to games as a whole, but that's not what I'm here to do. This is just me waving around my veteran gamer card a bit, because I love video games and they've been an object of fascination and a way to connect with friends that have practically saved my fucking life on multiple occasions now, so they mean the world to me. Everything I've gathered for this video, with some obvious, relevant, and recent exceptions, was made by a human being. I am a writer. I've been writing stories and songs since grade school. I'm an artist, although I don't really draw much, let alone that well anymore. I've been making music for over a decade now. I edit my own videos, I make my thumbnails myself, admittedly not from scratch most of the time, but never generated by AI, and always with care. I've been surrounded by art my entire life. I've engaged with it and created it almost just as long as I have known it, and it is for that reason that I feel I need to speak on generative AI, and then go back to rambling about games if I feel like it by the end of this. Probably not. The corporate shitification of games has been a long-drawn, slow, and steady push just to see how much shit publishers and parent companies can get away with. All the aforementioned examples being perfect representations of this. We went from having unlockable characters, weapons, and cosmetics built into games to having them paywalled because a few games tried it, got away with it, and everybody else effectively saw that it was okay. That snowballed into every shooter of the 360 era past a certain point being crammed so full of DLC guns and camo weapon skins that not only was Call of Duty doing it, but some of our other goats from back then were too, like fucking Gears of War 3. Gears 3 had gun skins you could buy for Microsoft points. Oh God, Microsoft points. Jesus. Then came the advent of the next generation, bringing us games like Destiny, every Ubisoft live service title ever because I can't be fucked to name them all, and GTA Online. I won't speak on any of those because I don't have the patience to throw myself down that rabbit hole again. Least of all GTA Online or Red Dead Online from RDR2 because holy fuck. But you can probably see what I'm getting at here. Speak with your wallet was a phrase that I heard people who were pushing for more awareness and trying to educate others in regards to what was happening and how the medium was shifting. But very clearly, everyone did speak with their wallets. What they said was a resounding, I don't care. I couldn't give less of a fuck. And you know what? To an extent, I get it. I worked a shit job for a bit and I wanted to enjoy what little free time I had, so I bought whatever my friends were playing and maybe even got a skin, a battle pass, or a 10 pull on a gacha or some shit. I get it. Life sucks incredible amounts of ass and people are gonna do whatever is in their means to enjoy their time on this fucked up freak rock floating in the void. The only thing I wanna ask people who think like that is, when does it stop? Now, mind you, I don't see the point in attacking anybody over this kind of thing unless they are genuinely willfully ignorant or staunchly in support of it, and even then, that quote-unquote attack in question should not be some wide-scale extreme reaction or witch hunt. Consumers are part of the problem in a manner of speaking, but not inherently the source, I guess is the best way I would put it. I don't know, I'm probably not wording that too well. But what I'm getting at here is that what we've been witnessing play out in the gaming space is a tale as old as time. One in which complacency, ignorance, and greed pave the way for exploitation. If this is starting to sound political to you and you don't like that, then please, by all means, hit the dislike button, leave a little comment, and click off the video because it only gets better from here. Art is political in nature, and games are art, regardless of what your opinion on that particular argument might be. People pour months, years, maybe even decades of their lives into coding, modeling, texturing, writing, drafting concepts, composing music and cinematics, all for video games. Art has always been an outlet for the people. It has always been a way to challenge ourselves and our perspectives, a way to process the complexities of human life and express emotions that we just sometimes can't put into words. Art is meant to be provocative, it's meant to make you feel something, even if that something is nothing at times. It is flexible, and we are all capable of that. So, let's talk about AI. The generative kind. Let's tackle the machine for a moment. I've seen endless discourse and countless arguments over this topic online, and chances are you won't hear anything new here, but again, I'm here to offer my perspective as someone that's lived with art as an integral aspect of my life. If you want art, if you want a true, genuinely moving experience, whether it's simple and fun or deep and thought-provoking, why should you turn to a machine? Let's get into the common arguments I hear on a near daily basis that frankly drive me up the fucking wall. It's only being used for part of the process. We have actual humans do passes over the generated product. Why? Let's talk about this one real quick. Concept art and placeholders. Those are my two targets here in this example, looking at Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and Jason Schreier's interview with Swen from the recent Larian debacle regarding divinity. The most crucial aspect of art is the human element, and typically when putting together initial ideas and giving things form and proper concept art, you do things like photo bashing, writing something down, drawing some really shitty drawing that, despite not looking well, gets the general idea across and gives the artist something you could use as a basis to visualize what they should make. I don't give a damn what kind of argument you can make for this. I just can't see generating an image with no real substance behind it being more impactful to a project than any of the things I just mentioned, let alone how it could be more efficient. Here, take a look at this example from the storyboard for Knives Out, or even this example provided by somebody who had commissioned the artists Jandry and Roger Bacon over on Blue Sky. Sorry if I butchered your name, Jandry. Love your work. It takes literal seconds just to put something to paper and convey an idea. Why the fuck do we need to go to a computer and feed those same words to a machine to attempt to achieve the same effect? There's literally zero reason to try and skip a step that's practically already effortless. Now, let's shuffle on over to the other example here, cause this one fucking hurt, not gonna lie. I can't speak too much on the Larian situation because of all the language surrounding it, specifically quotes from Swen that read to me like he's tiptoeing around whether or not they actually like and or are using generative AI in their projects at all, and that kind of pisses me off. Let's stop real quick. Future editor me here. It's still December for me right now, for the record. I just want to clarify that I am aware Schreier's initial reporting was lacking some context, and at the time of writing that script, I had seen the full transcript he released. I understand Sven's statement regarding games and tech chasing their little golden goose, but I feel his wording and use of certain terms that your average consumer wouldn't be aware of only serve to work against him. Things are touchy right now, and developers and publishers are aware, everyone is aware, of the public perception and general attitude regarding generative AI, so clear communication is key in situations like these. While I understand what he's saying, I don't agree with it. I'm not out to paint anyone as the devil here, but it's up to you to draw a line in the sand, and I simply know where mine lies. Anyway, back to it. But something I can speak on is Expedition 33. Let me level with you guys and be entirely open and honest here. I loved that game. Keyword being loved. Past tense. I'm not usually crazy about turn-based RPGs in general. My brain can be small sometimes, so I don't always take too well to them, but I've always appreciated the genre. Seeing my friends talk about and play Expedition 33 back around when it came out made me interested in the game. So I played it on a friend's account for a bit, and then eventually decided to buy it myself. I spent what must have been the next week playing through one of the most insane, emotionally gut-wrenching, and unapologetically fucking French games in all of existence, and even went as far as to get every last achievement for the game. I ran my head into the wall, pulling an all-nighter and theory crafting builds in my room until 8 in the morning one day, trying to beat the secret super boss at the end, and even played New Game Plus a decent bit. It wasn't until a month or so later that I learned about the placeholder incident. This shit drives me up a wall in such a particular way that I can't even put it into words. But to start, when the whole AI placeholder thing hit the net and began doing its second or so round, there was a pretty wild back and forth of people calling the game out and others defending it. What resulted was effectively a blend of expected outrage and then a shitload of hostile defensive rebuttals and even some gaslighting, which almost had me doubting what I was seeing. It was my game of the year for a bit, so I was pretty conflicted after seeing the whole mess go down, but in the end, it happened. They generated an AI placeholder and shipped with it, on purpose or otherwise. The only thing that might be false about that is they might not have generated it themselves, but how the fuck are we supposed to know that without any word from Sandfall? Hey, not really future editor me here or anything, but I did get curious while writing this and stopped to do a little more looking around, and it seems that, after the Game Awards, they have admitted to using generative AI in the production of Clair Obscur. Producer Francois, I hope I said that right, stated that, quote, "We use some AI, but not much. The key is that we were very clear about what we wanted to do and what to invest in. And of course, technology has allowed us to do things that were unthinkable a short time ago." End quote. Not gonna fucking lie, reading that makes me feel twice as vindicated in my feelings towards this game. Especially considering that they never once had a disclaimer on the Steam store page disclosing their use of the technology. Simply put, I felt betrayed then and still do now. Was it an amazing experience? Sure, it was evident they had amazing talent and plenty of genuine human love and vision went into the game, but now it carries a certain taint to it that can't be shaken. In a time where public disgust and general divide in regards to generative AI was clear and evident, along comes this little French game with less than $10 million, which is still a lot of fucking money, with a whole story rooted in themes of art and exploration of emotion and connections. And they use the funny corporate slot machine to churn out placeholder textures. Look, shoving those games aside for a moment, I need those of you that might not understand the true cost of generative AI and the roots that it has to just bear with me for a moment longer here. Take a moment and think on the cost of this technology and the way it's being used. Here we have this shiny new piece of technology that sucks up more liquid than somebody's mother at last weekend's house party, effectively punching a hole in vital water sources and driving the cost of electricity up for everyone in an age where money is practically fucking non-existent. We have this machine, and we've trained it to simply scrape the internet for data with reckless abandon, so now all of its input is comprised of artists, musicians, voice actors, celebrities, internet personalities, dead fucking human beings, I can go on, and all without any of their consent for the most part, let alone any form of compensation. Entire art styles, voices, and more all get fed to some generative algorithm or whatever the fuck, solely so it can spew out a soulless, flawed imitation of what it was fed. A very common excuse among publishers, higher-up CEOs, etc., is that they want to speed up the process of development and push their next big projects out as soon as possible, but therein lies the problem. In an era where big companies push out multi-million-dollar money-sink projects only to cut staff and downsize their studios, leaving plenty out of jobs all in the name of either cost-cutting or profits, it's clear ambition is king. Personally, I feel like if they want to downsize on anything, it should be the scope of their projects. Not to say that it's a definitive solution, I'm no developer or industry expert, but instead of canning dozens of developers, writers, artists, and so on, split that massive team up into 2 or 3 cohesive teams and have them create smaller, more focused experiences. Generative AI likely isn't going to lessen this issue either, and the more it happens, the more obvious it's becoming that a lot of companies are pushing to see what they can get away with. They're pushing to see what's okay yet again. Generative AI is a crutch for the creative process and for business, not a solution or a tool. It benefits no one but those at the top, and as much as I can sit here and wish for the bubble to pop ASAP, they'll likely be the last, possibly even least, affected by it. As for us artists or those against generative AI, nobody who understands what's happening here gives a fuck about whether or not it'll be accurate enough to be unrecognizable or undetectable a few years from now, because the truth is that the machine is nothing without the input that it has taken from other people without their knowledge or permission. It will never reach that point on its own, and the cost is more than just the output and its ramifications. It's the environment, it's jobs, it's people's livelihood and well-being. This is tech that is being backed by the same people that pushed for cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and if I have to explain why that might be a major fucking red flag, then frankly, you might be part of the problem, or at least complacent in the cause. And yes, to be fair, I have also been complacent and even fallen into it by way of titles like Clair Obscur and Arc Raiders. I understand what is happening, even if I've fallen into the trap along the way to figuring out where I stand and what I truly feel about all of this, but that is precisely why I'm sitting here and calling it out. As an artist, I'm obligated to speak on this shit to some degree, because as somebody who has struggled constantly, near endlessly, to hone my craft and make strides towards what we call perfection, I refuse to sit here and let some soulless husk puppeteered by greedy higher-ups and publishers try to outbox us artists in any aspect or any field. My music background is rooted in hip-hop, and I branched out from there, so despite experimenting with different sounds and genres, my roots keep me competitive. My family comes from a mixed background and is predominantly low or lower middle class, so those roots have kept me aware of what goes on around me and how shit moves up above. In an era where the country I live in is a divided fucking mess and the internet at large has become a centralized shit-slinging competition, the last thing I want to part with is art. So, if any of what I've been rambling about so far has hit home, I simply ask that you bear that in mind and do your best to do the right thing going forward, no matter how big or small, and no matter if it relates to AI or not. Now, to leave things on a bit more of a positive note, I really want to take a moment and discuss the games that have left a true impact or impression on me over the last few years. There's a lot of obvious mainstream titles that have made waves recently, but I want to talk about some smaller ones that I genuinely adore. I'd be here forever if I list them all, so I'll keep it short and give you the ones that spring to mind first. Megabonk is a pretty recent one. That and Vampire Survivors are some really fun games to play in short bursts that, despite playing very differently from most games, remind me of a lot of older games with their progression-based unlocks and funny secrets and items. Pseudo Regalia is by far one of, if not straight up my personal favorite 3D platformer of all time. The movement is so good and the abilities are so well designed that it makes the map a fucking wonder to move around in. I love this game. Rabbit and Steel, my beloved. I'm a Final Fantasy XIV vet. I don't play the game anymore, but when I get the itch to play something like it, I boot this up. It's a fun little roguelike that you can run with friends to suffer through mechanics together with, or even run solo for some surprisingly chill yet intense runs. Shadows of Doubt had me in a vice grip for a bit, being an absolutely insane detective sim / immersive sim style game where you create your detective and generate a little procedural city where murders occur randomly and you get to solve them. You get access to an absolutely beautiful board to cover in clues connected in the most deranged manner possible by the good old classic pins and string method, and the amount of clues, tools, and methods to narrow down and arrest your suspect in the game are pretty damn sweet. You can also get your own apartment and stuff, so that's pretty cool too. Web fishing? Do I need to say more? Fishers, where we at? Make some noise. I want to see y'all going, man, I love fishing in the comments. You already know. My last quick one is The Upturned. Hi, Lawrence. Bye, Lawrence. If you like Lethal Company, this is a completely different style of game, but is also made by Zeekers, and is a funny and oddly terrifying at times single-player experience with a pretty good soundtrack.
God hates me. God hates me. God hates me. God hates me. Oh my god. Oh fuck. Oh. Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck?
Oh, Signalis. If you like survival horror games, or if you're a lesbian, then Signalis. Please, trust me. Signalis. For the love of God, go play Signalis. That being said, I'd also recommend just falling back on older media as well, assuming you can. I know running older games on PC outside of things like emulated games and stuff can be touch and go, but seriously, I'm still in possession of a lot of my all-time favorites, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna fall back into playing those again. Jagex, Combat Racing, the Sly series, all of them. Infamous, Burnout, specifically 3 for me.
I'm waiting for the game to feed me some bullshit like I'm 5 seconds ahead.
It's all about that.
Oh.
Armored Core, shout out to 4th Gen, my goat, yes, I'm a crackhead, next question, I could go on. I guess the biggest takeaway I want people to have from this is that we should be vocal about this shit. I love games. If you watched any more than 2 minutes of this video, you probably do too. Even outside of games, this has far-reaching and likely lasting effects. People are scared or even emboldened by the sudden formation of this odd gray area in regards to media and its consumption when generative AI is a factor. All I can truly say is, I can't force anybody to pick a side. At the end of the day, I hope people can actually use their damn brains, think, and talk their way through shit like this, but I know how the internet is. Now, before I go, let me just say once again that I don't want to see anybody targeting, harassing, doxing, doing any of that shit to anybody because of this. There are things I could say regarding other topics, but I cannot condone any of that wild shit here. Be good to each other, and don't tiptoe around gray areas because complacence isn't always the answer. There's a lot of pink around there, and you wouldn't want to be a put.